Just an embarrassing thing happened. I was actually recording this video for churchsetup.com. Halfway through the video, I get a text from my mom asking if I know that I'm live. And then a few minutes later, my pastor actually texted me and said he was being blessed because instead of recording the video like I am now, I was live streaming on our church page. And it's just really embarrassing when that happens. So with that being said, last week, I went to the National Association of Broadcasters event in Las Vegas, Nevada. There was about 50,000 people there, which was about half the size that event normally is. It was absolutely massive. And there, all of the manufacturers of all these different camera broadcasting, there were giant camera cranes, there was gigantic lights. Like I'm talking everything from, the YouTuber to the huge network. People were there testing out new products and just really talking to all the vendors. I went with one purpose in mind, and that was to go to all of the PTZ manufacturers. So I talked to PTZ Optics, I talked to BZB, I talked to BirdDog, I talked to Aver, I talked to Salray Works, I talked to, goodness gracious, I talked to Marshall, Canon, Sony, I talked to everybody. Because I wanted to see, we've done a lot of products through our store, churchsetup.com, building kits and custom setups for churches. And so I had dealt with, quite a few different things, but I've never been able to just go through and play with all kinds of different cameras and all kinds of different setups. And the one thing that I wanted to do was go to each and every one of these camera manufacturers and get a personal eye view of the quality of their cameras. I wanted to see it for myself. I wanted to be able to use the joystick controller, control the camera, and things like that. So that's why I went. I was on a mission to find what quality every brand was producing. And I was very surprised by a few brands. But the one that really impressed me the most was BirdDog. So I went to the BirdDog booth and I got to hang out for a little while with the co-founder of the BirdDog brand, and he walked me around. He showed me some of the cameras, and the one thing that I wanted him to show me was show me the quality of your image. So take me to this big screen, shine the camera over there. I want to see what it looks like, and I was blown away. Now, I'm not going to say anything bad about PTZ Optics. I love PTZ Optics. I love their cameras. I love their price point. They're cheap. They're probably the cheapest quality camera that you can buy. And I love their support. They're an amazing brand. But I have to say that when I went to the BirdDog booth and I looked at the image quality of the BirdDog cameras, I was super impressed. And I noticed the difference between the broadcast quality and the regular sensor quality that the PTZ Optics camera uses. Now, the PTZ Optics cameras are very great cameras, especially for the price point. And the BirdDog cameras are more expensive. But when you get to the BirdDog cameras, they actually have Sony sensors and mechanics built into the cameras. So if you're looking at a Sony PTZ, for example, you're going to pay a lot of money per camera. BirdDog is not that expensive. They're more expensive than PTZ Optics by a few $100s a camera. But the quality of the image was definitely apparent when I saw that. And then I learned some amazing things. Number one, the NBA, ESPN uses the entry-level BirdDog camera, the 10X PTZ, for their referee cam in their broadcast. It is that good. That's the entry-level camera. And I've seen NFL teams using the P200, which is one step above. That's the 30X PTZ, using those in their conference rooms and things like that for their televised press conferences, not like conference room, but like the press conference with the podium. I saw where a lot of conferences and concerts and things like that were using the P200. And these were not, just run-of-the-mill concerts. These were huge productions that were using their equipment. And it spoke volumes about the quality of image that they provide, because in those broadcasts, television studio and things like that, you can't sacrifice on image quality. And I'm telling you, the BirdDog image quality is amazing. And that's the primary reason that as soon as I got home from the NAB, we went to work and we added a ton of new BirdDog-based kits on our website. So if you haven't been to churchsetup.com, we build bundles for churches. So we build in complete live streaming video recording kits. We do 1 camera, 2 camera, 3 camera, 4 camera. We do custom quotes up to however many cameras you want. We build custom gear, custom rigs. We do everything for churches. And the main thing, our biggest seller, are complete kits. So you order, you get everything that you need, take it out of the box, hook it up, and it just works. And you can start live streaming. And our biggest seller has been PTZ optics, and that's the main camera that we used in all of our kits. But now, if you go to churchsetup.com, you will see a whole lot of kits based on the BirdDog cameras, the BirdDog equipment. And I'm super excited about that. And so in this video, I'm gonna give you the 7 reasons why I am sold on the BirdDog systems, especially for churches, for education, for nonprofits, for event venues. I am sold on their systems. And the number 1 reason is image quality. Like I said before, the image quality blew me away. When you get them, you're not gonna be sacrificing image quality. Now, one of the things that I've always had to deal with, especially for churches that were on a limited budget and I was sending them the PTZ optics cameras, is a lot of them are matching the PTZ optics or other, more inexpensive brands with a handheld camera like a Sony a6400. Now the Sony a6400 has a really great, it's a 4K camera, it has an amazing sensor. When you put those 2 images beside each other, it's really hard to try to match those more inexpensive cameras with the more inexpensive sensors to a camera like the a6400 or any Canon or anything like that. With the BirdDogs, that's not so much a problem because the sensor is a Sony sensor and the image quality is really amazing. So it's not that far off from the very start. And I think a BirdDog camera with an a6400 from Sony or a6600 or anything like that, you're gonna be much closer at the start to try to dial those images together so that you don't see a big difference when you switch from this camera to that camera. So the second reason that I am sold on BirdDog cameras for churches is a big one, and it is auto tracking capabilities. Now, auto tracking's been out for a while, and there's been a lot of cameras that came with it built in. PTZ Optics, I guess it's their sister brand, Huddle Cam. They actually have 2. They have the Simple Track and the Simple Track Lite that just released, and those are really good cameras. And you have others that had auto tracking capability built in, but they were usually a lot more expensive than just a regular camera. And then you had some software options that were coming out that were trying to kind of rig it so that the software was tracking and then would send commands to the camera. And that was always kind of janky, to be honest. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But the BirdDog cameras from now on have built-in auto tracking capability in their software, and it is free. So you don't have to go to a third party. You don't have to order a special camera. All BirdDog PTZ cameras are gonna have auto tracking capabilities built in. Now, granted, I wasn't able to try this. There were people all in the booth, and so I didn't have a chance to try it in a church type of event venue. I've got a BirdDog on the way. I'm going to try it very, very soon, and then I'll release a review about auto tracking on its own. But I am super excited about the ability for you have 3 cameras, you can make all 3 cameras auto track and cut from different scenes, and you don't have to have anyone manning the camera to move it back and forth. It's going to be really amazing, and I'm excited to see how we're going to implement the auto tracking in our own church once I get that BirdDog in. And I have my hopes up. I haven't tried it yet, but that's the reason I'm sold on it. If they are offering it for free and the co-founder was very, very high on it, I think that it's going to be pretty amazing to just use any camera that you have in your system, if it's a BirdDog camera, and put auto tracking on it. So I'm super excited about that. And the third reason I'm sold on BirdDog brand for churches is that they have a lot more than just cameras to offer. So it's a lot more than just a camera manufacturer. They're doing kind of cutting edge innovation around not just the cameras, but around using NDI as well. And they have a sister brand that they're working with called Bolin that is using NDI and Dante. And there's some marriage between NDI and Dante happening. Now, if you don't know what NDI is, it's basically taking the old physical cables of like SDI or HDMI and instead making the cables virtual over the network. So an Ethernet cable plugged in and plugged into your network can provide the camera with power, with control connectivity, and send the image to whatever producing station that you're working with. NDI is basically a network cable. It is a newer technology, but it is a technology that is taking off. Matter of fact, we're on the 5th generation of NDI software now, and everyone is implementing it. BirdDog is kind of leading the charge. They have all kinds of products built around the NDI technology. And with that comes a couple of pieces of software that are super useful for churches that are utilizing NDI. The first one is a comm software. So if you're in a larger church, or if you've been at a larger church, you've visited a larger church, you've watched the live stream of a larger church, most of those churches with multiple cameras everywhere, you know, the person walking around with a camera, most of those churches work like a TV studio, meaning that they have a producer that is a labeled producer that is producing the show. They will usually be in a control room with whoever is running the cameras, and they'll have comms. They'll have an earpiece and a microphone so that they can talk to the cameramen, they can talk to the sound men, they can talk to everyone that is involved in creating the media. They can talk to the graphics person, they can talk to the person running ProPresenter, and all of that comes together. And they're the ones saying, okay, camera 1, I want you to zoom in on the speaker. Camera 2, I want you to get a wide shot. Cut to camera 1 now. Cut to camera 2 now. Go back to camera 1. They're the one calling all the shots, and everybody else is just doing what they say, so that there is a creative persona that is making all of these different pieces work together in a unified way. And to do that, you have to have comms. And there's all kinds of communication systems out there. They're usually several $100s. But because everything is built on NDI with BirdDog, they have their comm system built in with the NDI technology. So anybody standing at a camera, anybody sitting at a control board, anybody really anywhere that is connected to the network can be on the comms unit, and their software drives the comms. It's integrated into their technology, and that software is very expensive, but they are giving that software and some other software to churches and educational facilities and really any nonprofits. They're giving that away for free. So if you're a church, you're a house of worship, you get that expensive software and capability for free, even if you're not going to use it right now. Another thing that they're giving away for free is another piece of software called Central. It's kind of like a control panel. So if all of your video signals are on the network, imagine if you have screens in your nursery, screens in your foyer, screens up on the, in the sanctuary, big projectors or screens or LED walls or whatever. You have screens all over your location. And in the old days, you would have to find a way to run wires to all of those. So you've got to run SDI or some other kind of cable to all these different places. You have to have splitters, and you have to have HDMI distributors and everything running all this over. And then, if you have a camera on the platform, for example, and you want to show that camera to the nursery, then you have to have that camera going into some kind of capture device that routes it around and goes through this system and through that. And it was just really difficult. With the NDI technology, this is what's so super exciting about NDI technology. With NDI technology, all of those sources, so every camera, ProPresenter, just about every source that you can use, your sound board, every source that is on the network is routable via the network. So if my TV in the nursery is NDI enabled, which BirdDog makes a system to make that a reality, and my camera that's on the platform is NDI enabled, I can just say, hey, send that camera feed to the nursery, and then send the ProPresenter feed to the foyer, and send the ProPresenter, stage display, send that up to this. And all of that happens in a little piece of software that's just routing all of these things to their specific places. It's amazing. And every little piece is just connected to the network over Cat6. So you get much better distribution without all kinds of cabling and stuff going on throughout the church. It is amazing, and it is Wi-Fi enabled. So if you have you have a wireless camera that's running around, it too can be routed over NDI. It's so amazing, and they're giving those two pieces of software for churches for free, the pro level version. And so that's a big deal for me. Even if you're a small church, you can't use it yet. One of these days you'll grow. One of these days you'll have a media team that needs it. And especially as the technology begins to grow and everything around NDI, being able to have that for free is just amazing. And number 4, for a lot of people, this might not be a big deal. To me, it's a big deal. But BirdDog systems, their NDI systems, integrate and bridge with Dante. Now, if you're not on a Dante network, if you've never heard the word Dante in terms of audio production and sound systems, then don't worry, this is not a big deal for you. But for those that are on Dante, whose sound system is Dante enabled, this is exciting because now you don't have to have a separate mixer. You don't have to have a separate control board. You don't have to route all kinds of different things. You don't need snakes, anything like that. If your sound system is on the Dante network, you can route whatever you want to route right into the BirdDog ecosystem, basically, and have your sound perfectly integrated with your live streams. And the 5th reason, back to software again. Now, if you've ever worked with a PTZ camera, you know the web-based system is always kind of awkward. The apps that people produce to control their PTZ cameras are always kind of awkward. And dialing in your settings, your exposure, white balance, you know, the iris or aperture, you know, color balance, all of those things is really, really difficult, really janky on most systems. Now, it can be done, kind of, but it's not always easy. Now, with the BirdDog software, let me tell you, it's amazing. This is one of the things that blew my mind, is just them showing me the control panel for their camera, the amount of control and things that you get over color science, the things that you get over white balance and exposure, focus, all of the things that you get to really dial in your image are amazing in the BirdDog software, and they're easy to understand. So I'm super excited about that, since I've been working and troubleshooting and trying to train people on those old janky systems. Having a system that is intuitive and powerful is going to be super exciting for me and for the Church Setup brand. And number 6, again, this is not going to be important for everyone, but for me, it is super important because of my use case personally, and that is BirdDog cameras have built-in tally lights. Now, if you don't know what a tally light is, it's a light on the camera that lets you know which camera is live at the moment. So in the old days, it was just a big red dot, you know, find the camera with the red light on it, and that's the one that's recording or live. But over the years, that kind of got dropped from a lot of cameras that weren't like super high end in the big studios, you know, $30,000 cameras in the live environment. But over the last couple of years, the people have started realizing that you need tally lights. There's entire brands that are releasing just, you know, third-party tally lights that you can put on your camera so that people know which camera is actually live at the moment and which camera is queued up to go live next. With BirdDog, it's built in. So with the BirdDog cameras, each camera has a built-in tally light. It'll show green if that one is scheduled up into preview, and it'll show red if that one is currently going out to program, which is the live stream. Why this is important for me is because in my church, I don't always have someone operating the live stream. Sometimes they get sick. Sometimes they have other things. They can't be in church. And we don't have a full church yet. We're a church plant. So our volunteer pool is very, very shallow at the moment. And so there's several Sundays throughout a year or even a quarter where I won't have anyone actually controlling the live stream. And for that, I actually utilize Stream Deck software on my phone, and I control the live stream. So I run everything through Ecamm Live. I'm not running it through an ATEM Mini Pro. I'm running it through a Mac Mini. And Ecamm Live allows me to set my camera views and then do automated switching. So if I have 3 camera views, I can, you know, switch through each of them on time intervals. And so I use that when no one else is there. However, there's been a lot of services where I've switched to like the keyboard and then get involved in the service and forget when the song's over, the keyboardist leaves, I forget that the camera's actually showing them, and I go about the service, I start preaching or whatever, and our live stream for several minutes until someone notices or I remember is showing a keyboard with no one there. They can still hear me, they can hear everybody else, but all they're seeing is a keyboard, which is not a good experience. And so to combat that, I've used like a preview monitor showing towards the stage that would show us what's on the live stream, but that's not always feasible, especially if someone is standing in front of it or it gets turned around or something like that. So there's been times where I've wondered what in the world is showing to the live stream. I'm on stage, I've got a microphone, I can't check without making everything really awkward. And so it's just in the back of my mind bothering me. Tally lights solve that. I can see at a glance which camera is live. I can tell if it's on me. I can tell if it's on the keyboard. I can tell if none of the cameras are on, right? And the tally lights will be super, super helpful for me. And you can even, with BirdDog, they have technology where you can take like a camera if someone's walking around, like a Sony a6400 or whatever. You can actually connect an NDI module to that camera, and it has built-in tally lights as well. So the tally lights are amazingly built into all BirdDog products, and it makes it super, super enticing to someone that is in a situation like me where tally lights are valuable. And then the last thing, the seventh reason why I am sold on BirdDog products is their integration with NDI, which enables something very, very powerful, something that I have gotten a ton of requests with over the years. And every time I get this request, I have to say, no, I mean, it can be done, but it's really, really difficult. And you're gonna be like, hooking together technology that doesn't really work really well, and you're gonna have some delay and all kinds of problems, so it's not recommended. That excuse is out the window now, and I'm talking about remote production. So with NDI, the technology that is in NDI 5, you can have someone 60 miles away that is not only switching your cameras, controlling the PTZs, controlling the live stream, but they are basically like they're on site, but they're remote. It can be done now through NDI technology. Remote production is now a reality, not just a possibility, but a reality. If Johnny, the volunteer, video producer, is got a cold and he's just staying home from church, but he's still physically able to work, right? He just doesn't want to be contagious. He can sit at his computer at home and produce the live stream like he was physically at the church. And we don't have to have all kinds of new hardware to do that. NDI makes that possible. So remote production is here, and it is natively built into the BirdDog ecosystem because of their integration with NDI. BirdDog and NDI go hand in hand, and it's super, super exciting. So if you've never been to churchsetup.com, if you go there, you can click on store. We build custom builds. We build all-in-one bundles for churches that need a video system, live streaming system. It is truly all-in-one, out of the box. You take it out and all the cables are there, all the adapters are there. Everything you need is there to build your system and start live streaming. And so if you want a system like that, if you need a system for your church, go to churchsetup.com, click on store, and you'll see all of the pre-built kits that we have. We also do custom setups. So if you need something custom, if you need mix and match between PTZs, handheld, wireless, all of those things that we can do for you, we can put together a custom quote for you. So go on over to churchsetup.com, look at our BirdDog kits, and I hope you find something there that is within your budget and something that will take your live stream to the next level. And until next time, I'm Ryan Scott from churchsetup.com. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.